Memorial Day, which was once called Decoration Day, is the day the United States of America sets aside each year to remember and honor the men and women who have died in the service of their country. I noticed an internet poll this weekend asking people what their big plan was for the holiday, and only 3% of the 100,000 respondents said that they would be participating in Memorial Day services and parades. I find that shameful, and I thank each and every you for being on the other end of that statistic. Memorial Day ceremonies often take place in cemeteries with American flags flying and a military gun salute. Those who speak talk about the price of freedom and the bravery of American soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served, fought, and died for freedom, as well as to protect their loved ones. This special day is an American Day of remembrance, a day when the nation's hustle and bustle of our busy lives slow down for a moment as our nation pauses to pay tribute to the heroic sons and daughters who gave their lives so that we could live our lives in freedom. Their honorable services and sacrifices were just as important in winning and holding on to freedoms as were the sacrifices of those who gave their lives on the battlefield. At this time, I would like to introduce the Voice of Democracy speaker. Her name is Kennedy Webb. She is a freshman at Riverview High School and the winner of this year's Voice of Democracy contest. Kennedy?
Before I begin, I want to take this opportunity to thank the veterans as well as those currently serving in our military. I am so grateful to live in America, the greatest country in the world, and I surely appreciate the men and women that serve and sacrifice to make sure America remains the greatest country in the world. What makes you feel proud inside? Doing a good job? Meeting a deadline? Standing up for a friend? Is there pride in serving in our military? For the 3.3 million men and women serving in the United States military, the definition of pride takes on a different meaning. Helping a third world country distribute food and medical supplies and protecting civilians during a disaster or war are both acts that bring a deep sense of pride. Seeing a communist or Middle Eastern nation hold their first national election and knowing that you were a part of making it happen would definitely be a proud moment. Rescuing starving and wounded children caught in the crossfires of famine and war, helping vaccinate villages against deadly diseases, bringing democracy and freedom to people in faraway lands, and airlifting supplies after natural disaster hits places like Haiti and Japan are all acts that would make an individual feel proud. Stepping in front of a machine gun fire or jumping on a grenade to save your comrades produces a sense of pride that no one feels. They only leave it behind. The funny thing about these men and women, however, is that the pride they feel is in the fact that they are Americans. What they do every day to them is all in a day's work. They don't always see a hero when they look in the mirror. They see an average person, a dad, a mom, a son, a daughter, a sister, or a brother looking back. They see tired faces and new wrinkles. They see obligations and think about the family they are missing. But most of all, they see a code of honor they live by. They see a goal. They see a patriot. They see a lot of work that still needs to be done. Yes, there is pride in serving in our military. To serve among America's finest is a great privilege to many of these unique and brave individuals. Some may never step foot back on American soil. Others may return, but with life-altering injuries, and some with horrible emotional scars that cannot be healed. But regardless, most of these men and women would answer the call again if need be. The pride they feel is different than the pride you feel when you win a game or get a good grade. Their pride is their life. It's their philosophy, how they live, and how they die. It takes a very special individual to call themselves a soldier and to take on the duty and call of a soldier. There is great pride in serving one's country. But that pride should be felt by every single American citizen, sacrifices these brave few make on our behalf. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the elite, the proud, the selfless. Be proud of them, because they're sure proud of America. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our main speaker, who is Paul Golden, U.S. Army Colonel, retired.
We come not today to mourn our dead soldiers, but to praise them. Francis A. Walker, 1887. It is fitting and proper that we, as a nation under God, pause to embrace this day of remembrance, to praise those who have died in our nation's service. I am honored and feel privileged to be here today as we reflect upon and praise the services and sacrifices of our American men and women. Duty on our country. Federal law requires everyone who enlists or re-enlists into the armed forces of the United States to take the enlistment oath by raising the right hand and repeating the words administered by the enlistment officer. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. On October 10th, 1969, I took this oath, and again, upon being commissioned as an officer on May 17th, 1972. I remember those dates as the oath that I vowed to keep. I've administered this oath on numerous occasions to many young men and women, newly enlisted, newly commissioned officers, and upon re-enlistment. I also administered the same oath to our son Brian. On each occasion, I knew full well that these young men and women were affirming their promise to enter arm's way if need be, to defend our country. Of course, we live in an ambiguous and dangerous world. All gave some, but some gave all. Corporal Thomas Scheid, B Company, 1st Battalion, 503rd Infantry, 173rd Airborne Brigade, United States Army. Killed in action, September 19, 1970, Binh Dinh Province, South Vietnam. Tommy was 22 years of age and had my friend in high school in Pennsylvania, where we grew up. He was the equipment manager on the high school basketball team. Always had a smile on his face. Ever optimistic, always had good things to say. Myself being the 15th player on a 15-man squad, I got to spend a lot of time on the end of the bench with Tommy, where the equipment manager sat. And he would say, "Goldie," that was my nickname, "don't worry, we're up by 20 points. The coach will surely put you in soon." When more often than not, we were down by 20 points, and Tommy was still very optimistic and looked at me and said, "Look on the bright side, you're going to get to play again today." Well, some years later, I visited the Vietnam War Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure many of you have too. Pay respect to Tommy. His name is found on panel 07W, line 075. I touched his name and I made a promise. I would never forget Tommy. So we're here to praise his sacrifice to our country. Corporal Scheid did not get to go home and live a full life, but he touched mine by being my friend. So I praise his service. Lieutenant Colonel Michael McLaughlin, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 28th Infantry Division, Pennsylvania, Army National Guard, was speaking with Iraqi leaders and police candidates on January 6, 2006. When a suicide bomber detonated an IED at a police station, recruiting station in Ramadi, Iraq. The explosion also killed a Marine, about 80 Iraqis, and numerous other civilians and military personnel. Mike was a hands-on leader, who died working to ensure Iraqis will someday and one day be able to provide their own security. Mike died doing his job the only way he knew how to do it, out front with great enthusiasm and courage. Mike was a very close friend of mine and a comrade, serving together for many years. My prayers still go out to his wife, Tammy, and 2 daughters that he left behind. And to the Border family of Chief Petty Officer Raymond Border, United States Navy, that are here today with us. Raymond's death, October 19, 2011, has left a void in this world and the loss of a comrade in arms, but he will not be forgotten. Here on the Courtsquare, to my right, is the Coshocton County Bicentennial Time Capsule that we placed there, and in it is a copy of the Coshocton Tribune that has Ray's story on the front page. It will not be open until 2061, but someone will read about Chief Petty Officer Border's selfless service and dedication, duty, honor, and country. William Penn once said, "For death is no more than a turning of us from time to eternity." As the United States flag drapes the casket of deceased service members and veterans to honor their service to America, the flag is placed so that the blue field with stars is at the head and over the left shoulder of the deceased. After caps have been played, the flag is carefully folded into the symbolic tricorner shape. The flag will fold 13 times. When folded, no red or white stripe will be evident, leaving only the blue fields and stars. The folded flag is then presented as a keepsake to the next of kin or appropriate family member, and these words are quietly spoken with reverence. On behalf of the President of the United States and the people of a grateful nation, may I present this flag as a token of appreciation for honorable, faithful service your loved one has rendered to this nation. So as the bells are rung today and the names of our fallen comrades are read, may we be ever vigilant in our hearts and minds that freedom is not free, and those that have fallen have made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our freedom today. And as the lyrics of Lee Greenwood's patriotic song remind us, I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. At this point, I'm going to ask my wife, Kathy, to talk about TAPS just for a moment. And to the women, the mothers, the wives, daughters of those that have served in the military and have been the true wind beneath our wings. Kathy herself being a daughter of a military veteran, stood behind me for 33 years and with me, and is also the mother of our son Brian, who is in the Air Force. Kathy?
I'm sure you've all heard TAPS, but sometimes, unless you're a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, you might not know the words. I trust that the playing of TAPS today and the accompanying echo will place the following lyrics in your heart and in your minds on this Memorial Day. Day is done, God's Son, from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. Fading light dims the sight, and the star gems the sky, gleaming bright. From afar, drawing near, falls the night. Thanks and praise for our days, beneath the sun, beneath the stars, beneath the sky. As we go, this we know, God is nigh.
May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the state, great country, the United States of America, and to the men and women who serve to protect our freedom. Thank you.